What's up everybody, it's itsMaxDigital here, and here we break down tech. In this video I'm going to compare the newly announced Samsung Galaxy A52 5G with the previous model, the Samsung Galaxy A51 5G. Let's go in and take a look. Prices hasn't been released yet for the Samsung Galaxy A52 5G in the United States, but overall it should be around $500. The Samsung Galaxy A51 5G is an older device, and here in the United States you can get it on prepaid for like around $100, or you can get it on the third-party market like Swap, or you can get it from anywhere south of $300. So the A51 5G does give it some competition for the A52 5G. Just it climbed down in price a lot. Obviously, both of these phones have 5G on board. So you're going to be able to take advantage of 5G upload speeds and download speeds if you're in a good coverage area. Size isn't that big a difference on these devices. The 52 5G has a 6.3-inch height versus 6.2 on the 51. Both of these are around 2.9 inches wide and around 0.3 inches in thickness. Same thing with the weight. The A52 is 6.67 ounces, while the A51 is 6.6 ounces. And both have a plastic build quality to it. So very, very similar size, very similar dimensions for both of these devices. One difference between these is that the A52 introduces IP67 dust and water resistance, so you could dunk it in water for a meter up to 30 minutes. The A51 does not have that. Both of these phones offer awesome screens. They both offer Super AMOLED displays. The A52 and A51 both have 6.5-inch displays. The A52 is 85% screen-to-body ratio versus 87% screen-to-body ratio on the A51. For the resolution, the A52 has 1080 by 2400. Same thing on the A51, 1080 by 2400 pixels. Same PPI, both of these are offered at 405 PPI density. You got Gorilla Glass 5 on the A52, Gorilla Glass 3 on the A51. All in all, these screens are super awesome, and they both have the same. You wouldn't be able to tell these apart except just for a little bit more screen to body ratio on the A51. They do differ a little bit with Android software. You got Android 11 on the A52, Android 10 on the A51, and you have that Samsung UI on top. You got the 3.1 on the 52, One UI 2 on the A51. Honestly, you probably wouldn't tell that much difference between these, but you're going to get a little bit more options, newer options on the A52. For the processor, A52 has the Qualcomm Snapdragon 750G processor, while the A51 has an Exynos 980. You're probably not going to notice that much of a difference in performance. They should run all your basic apps, Netflix, WhatsApp, casual gaming, anything like that. Your music apps, your GPS, your Google Maps, your storage for photos and stuff. All that should work very similar. You might be careful with big old games like Call of Duty or just video editing and stuff like that. These processors, obviously the Snapdragon 750G is a little bit newer than the Exynos 980, and that'll perform a little bit better, but for most people you won't notice any difference. For the storage, both of these are offered at 128 gigs starting with the base model, and then you could go on the A52, you can have the option of getting 256 gigs. So very impressive internal storage base model. I think everybody will be fine with 128 gigs, but if you're a heavy user, luckily both of these have a micro SD card slot. So you can put in your movies, your games, your everything, apps. It shouldn't be a reason to run out of storage with these. You could expand them very cheaply as well. As for the RAM, they're both offering RAM starting at 6 gigs, and then you also have 8 gigs of RAM. Both, I think at 6 gigs, you'll be totally fine for pretty much all the apps you're going to run. If you have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, doesn't matter. You should be good unless you're getting tons of productivity out of these. You should probably get the 8 gigs to cover your butt. The cameras are very similar except for one thing, and that's the main camera. So you have a 4 camera setup on each of these. You got a 64 megapixel main on the 52. It's upgraded from the 48 megapixel on the A51. They kept the ultra wide megapixel camera at 12 megapixels for the ultra wide, and then you have 5 megapixel macro, 5 megapixel depth for both of them. So the only real change is the main camera sensor is a little bit more megapixels. That's about it. Video is both at 4K, so that's good. So you're gonna get overall, almost the same type of quality of camera and pictures and videos from both of these devices. Not a big upgrade by any means. For the selfie camera, both stay the same. It looks like you got a 32 megapixel shooter, and you can film up to 4K. So a nice front selfie camera on both of these devices. No real difference there. When it comes to the headphone jack, both of these have it as well. So it's nice to have the headphone jack. If you haven't embraced wireless, connect your headphones, your mic. You can connect it to your car via an aux cord for music. So it's a very versatile plug, and that's not being offered on flagships anymore. But these mid-rangers still have it, which is good. Both of these have a Bluetooth 5.0, and that's how you're going to connect your smartwatch, your smart band, your wireless headphones, your speakers. It's kind of how you're going to connect to other devices, and these Bluetooth 5.0 will have you covered on both of these phones. NFC is also offered on these devices, except that the A52, it depends on what market you're in. And both of these are rocking USB Type-C, and a very underrated port. People tend to forget that you could use the same port to charge, MacBooks, Chromebooks, Windows PCs, tablets, iPads. You could use the same cable basically, depending on the wattage and stuff, but it's the same port use, so it's very versatile. One thing that hasn't changed really is the how you unlock these devices. Both have under the display fingerprint readers, so that's a very nice feature to have in a mid-range phone. This is typically found on flagships in the past. Now they trickle down, and you can get them in mid-range phones. So this is pretty much awesome. It makes it feel like a more modern, more expensive Galaxy phone. Battery size hasn't changed either. It stayed at 4,500 milliamps, and that's a good size battery for a 5G device and the size of this device with the screen. You may run a little bit low towards the end of the day. Luckily, they both offer fast charging. It did upgrade from the A51 to the A52. The A51 had 15 watts fast charging, while it got upgraded to the A52. You get 25 watts. Basically, you can get 50% of charge in 30 minutes. Colors are a little bit different. The A51 came in black, white, and pink. The A52 is black, white, violet, and blue. So what are my conclusions when I see the specs and everything about these two devices? Well, I don't see a lot of real change or a lot of real reason to upgrade from the A51 to the A52. They both offer 5G coverage, so they're like really modern phones. They both have under the display fingerprint readers. The only way you'll differentiate these devices, if you flip them around to the back, and you'll see the camera, just the way that the camera setup is a little bit different. That's the only way you could probably tell these apart. If you're like, on the street somewhere and you see somebody with these, the main camera on the A52 got a little bit more megapixels. Other than that, it stayed the same. They both film in 4K. Trying to see what else is there. Batteries stayed the same. Obviously, when you got a newer phone, you got the newer chipset. But I'm pretty sure that you won't notice a difference between these. They're pretty good mid-range processors. If you care about fast charging a little bit faster, the A52 has that. But other than that, if you take into consideration the price that you'll probably be getting these at here in the US, you can get the A51 for really, really cheap. You can get it from, like I said, prepaid for $100, and then you can get it used up to like $300 and a little bit north of that. So it's almost like half price compared to when it was first launched. I don't know if it's worth it to get and spend the $500 to $600. We don't know the price exactly, but that's with the conversion rate, that's what the A52 should be. I honestly don't see the difference in these devices. Just a little bit more upgrades that honestly don't matter that much. So on that note, guys, thanks for watching. Peace out.